Psst.
Welcome to Plastic Surgery Secrets Talk, a podcast where we're going to discuss behind the scenes, less well known, not revealed secrets of plastic surgery, facial plastic surgery, and looking your best. Our special guest on this Miami edition is Dr. Ben Talei, or Talei, however you want to say it, Talei, from the Beverly Hills Center in Beverly Hills, California, of course. Ben, thanks for being with us.
Of course. Excited to be here in Miami.
I mean, you're known for a bunch of things, but face lifting, brow lifting, lip lifting. Lifting
things. I'm the anti-gravity guy, just like you.
It's sort of
We're anti-gravitators.
It's sort of a very like warehouse job in a way.
Just
lifting things all day.
Or surgical astronauts.
Strenuous. All right, so tell me, what's new? Like what's new and different, and what's a secret that people listening to this podcast may not know about brow lifts?
Brow lifts, what's new? There's parts that are new that are not good and parts that are new that are fantastic. The parts that are not good is the popularity and the trend of brow lifting amongst younger patients, not realizing that this is generally an anti-aging surgery. It's not really an accenting and designing your face kind of surgery. There's not much predictability in that when you do it in the youth. It's meant to be anti-gravitational. That's why it's a brow lift for the most part. And what you see when somebody does it who doesn't need it, number one, it fails. Goes away after about a year, and that's what you see in the large majority of patients.
Nothing to put back into place.
Yeah, and it just falls back down. And if something falls back down within a year, it leaves a scar because it had to pull against something, and it leaves a scar. So you get a scar, not much of a result. There are some younger patients who do need it, but from what I've seen, it's probably less than 10% of the ones actually asking for it. So that's the bad of it. But the good of it is there are a lot more natural techniques now, and it's going against what we used to do in the past, where people were pulled in the wrong direction, surprised, that crazy, angry, kind of hostile look that you get after a brow lift that has made brow lifting really scary for some people and given it a bad reputation. So part of my job now, and like the resistance and the struggle I have to go after, is patients come in and they're scared to get a brow lift, even though I'm telling them it's going to make your brow look more relaxed. It's not going to make it do something crazy. And rather than have this conversation with them, I just try to change the name. I'm like, I'm going to give you a temporal rejuvenation.
Oh,
something sneaky.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it doesn't remind them of of the badness of other brow lifts.
Well, that's excellent. So I actually have two follow-up questions on this. Part one is going to be, how did people do the bad brow lifts? So like, I actually have trouble
replicating
doing it. Like I don't. People come in and I see them with their eyebrows halfway up their forehead, and I go, how the heck did the guy lift it that high? First of all, it's crazy and I wouldn't do it. But second of all, I don't even think I could do it.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah. So I call that the look of the surprised idiot, which just gave the lecture, and nobody wants to look like a surprised idiot. And
even the idiots.
Yeah, even the idiots. And I have patients who come in and I tell them, listen, I couldn't give you that look even if I tried. I'm like, I just don't know how to do it. But I do understand how it happens.
It's the same line I use, and it's honest, right?
Yeah.
How do they do it?
Yeah. So some people think that like pulling in this direction and pulling in that direction or that direction or that direction, they're all kind of the same. And if you don't go too far in either direction, you're fine. And the reality is these big, crazy looks that you get didn't come from massive movements in the wrong direction. It's little movements in the wrong direction. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff. Okay. Obviously, like if you go this way, you're fine. That way, you're fine. That way, you're fine. One step the other, yeah, it's going to hurt. And that's what happens with these brow lifts that look kind of crazy, and it changes the muscle dynamic. And once you change the muscle dynamic in a negative way, it's really hard to put it back to where it was. And there are brow lowering procedures and Botox and all these other things that try to reverse it. But once you alter a muscle dynamic and really put that muscle on tension in a way where it's going to hypercontract, it'll do it forever. It just doesn't stop doing it.
Absolutely right. 30 plus years ago, everyone was removing muscle. You weren't born. That's amazing. People were removing muscle in brow lifts.
Yes.
How often are you doing that?
Never.
Exactly.
And the reason is, the reason they did it was because of much of the aging that we got was from scowling and that kind of look, which was mainly medial depression of the procerus and the corrugators and some of the lateral depression of the orbic. So here they would try to shred it a little, the muscle, or burn it a little to kill the nerves.
Surgical Botox.
Surgical Botox.
They didn't have Botox.
Exactly. And then in the midline over here, it would resect parts of the procerus and the corrugators. And the negative of that is that our face is like a little trampoline, and it's balanced by all these springs, you can't go cut off half the springs and expect it to still bounce properly. It's going to
Sit right.
everything pulls the other direction. And with age, what would happen to these patients, even though they would look less scally in the beginning, is they start to the surprised idiot. It just keeps going more and more and more, and it gets broader. Not on everybody, but people who have a lot of frontalis pull against no downward pull. And I understand the need for mellowing this out because, number one, it forms a scowled look. The other is that it pulls against your beautifully done brow lift, and it's going to make it come down faster.
Absolutely.
But now we have Botox. Yeah, so I use Botox, Dysport, whatever it is, and I just have them I tell them beforehand, this does not preclude you from doing Botox. It may mitigate the amount that you have to do, and that's it.
Okay, there's a secret right there. So 2 secrets you just heard. One was that if you remove muscle, and I still have people coming in and asking for that, and you have to explain to them, if you remove muscle, it is going to regenerate later, and it's going to come back, only not in a natural way because you've changed the fibers, and you have no idea what it's going to look like. So you're going to squeeze your forehead together, and instead of getting the 11s, exactly, people who are listening can't see it, but he's making funny faces and showing how his hands are moving all around because, yeah, the vectors of those muscles have changed dramatically.
Yeah, I call them scissor kicks.
Scissor kicks is a good answer. And then the other secret that you just heard is that there is no surgical alone approach to perfection in anything. You have to think of it like building a house. You build your house or you buy a car, but you got to take care of it. So if you build a house, you got to paint it. You got to wash it. You got to get the roof fixed every now and then. And it's the same thing if you have a facelift or a brow lift. Something like Botox to relax the muscles and keep it in place is necessary maintenance. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I have patients who come after a facelift and they say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? I'm like, listen, if you're going to keep asking me about things that I didn't touch, you may as well ask me about your knees. I didn't make your knees look better either. I'm like, this is a lift. And I do tell patients beforehand, I say there's a million things that go on with aging. Let's just talk about 3 of the million.
Exactly.
There's drooping, there's volume loss, and there's tissue quality changes, however you want to put that. I'm only fixing 1 of those out of the 3 out of the million. I'm like, so there are going to be other things. If you want to reach perfection and keep going, you have to do all those other things. But if you just want a big change in the drooping, I will give you the lifting. And everything else is going to be up to you how far you want to take this. Nobody's ever going to get to perfection. It doesn't exist.
That's exactly right. Okay, and then the last secret I want to talk about with Dr. Ben Talei from the Beverly Hills Center is you mentioned young people looking for brow changes and brow lifts. Tell me your thoughts on fox eye surgery.
Yeah.
Had a little moment.
It's okay. Well, first off, if you want to find out who the dysmorphic doctors are in this world, dysmorphic eye, dysmorphic brain, dysmorphic appearance in themselves, find the ones that are doing fox eye, cat eye. And you will find the dysmorphic doctors who are making patients dysmorphic themselves and looking strange and weird. Aside from the fact that it's a weird procedure to do and it's an unnatural looking procedure to do and it's a weird procedure to do to try to get your eyes looking super sharp like that, it won't last even if you wanted it to. Let's talk about the most common approach to this is doing a lateral temporal lift in the wrong vector
to pull it in an unnatural fashion like a fox.
Combined with a canthoplasty.
Exactly.
Those are the 2 things that they do, and they do this a lot in Iran and a lot in Turkey. And what they do is they take this natural anchor that we call the canthus.
The corner of the eye.
In the corner of the eye that keeps the eye sharp, and they take it from this natural attachment which cannot be recreated. So know that. They take it, they detach it, and then they take this stitch, and they use a stitch to attach it a little farther out.
A little higher up.
And what happens after time? Those doctors not realizing that the medial blink is stronger than the lateral blink. The medial blink is what pulls everything towards the nose. It is anchored to the nose, to the ethmoid, and to the rest of the fascia around.
Very strong attachments.
Very strong. Stronger wins. It'll keep pulling it back, and their eye that they wanted to be long in cat eye and fox eye will end up short
and rounded.
And and like that Willie, what's the guitarist, musician guy? Well,
there's a few of them.
Yeah. But it looks terrible.
Tune in next time for that secret. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this is a free podcast, but you got more than your money's worth today. There were so many secrets there, all about brow lift with Dr. Ben Talei, a smart and thoughtful surgeon from the Beverly Hills Center in California. If you've enjoyed what you're listening to, you can check out more of our podcasts anywhere else you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you want to get in contact for more information, it's info@drspiegel.com, drspiegel.com, and we are so happy to have been here at the Global Aesthetics Conference in Miami with Dr. Ben Talei.
I love this podcast and I love secrets. You can always find me at Dr. Ben Talei on Instagram.
Okay. Thanks so much for doing that.
Yeah, buddy.